Hi, I wanted to welcome you to the Divorce Planning Podcast. I'm Carri Goldring, and I'm in the mortgage business, and I do planning pre-divorce for people who are either going to refinance their home, do an equity buyout, or plan to purchase a new home and make sure that everything in the divorce decree is worded properly and the numbers in the planning is taken care of so that you can go through the underwriting process smoothly. And I would like to introduce you to other people who are interested in the divorce planning process so you can get a real education of what's involved. Hope you enjoy.
Hi, today I am lucky enough to have with me Ryan Kelly from Kelly & Kelly Law Firm. And I'm very excited to have her, and we're going to talk about a really interesting topic about who all the people are that are involved in the court system that you have to get involved with when you're going through divorce. So Ryan, welcome, and I'll have you introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Carrie. I'm so glad we can finally find a time to connect on this. My name is Ryan Kelly. I am a family law attorney based out of Northville, Michigan. I work in a family practice there with some of my relatives and some people that are not so lucky to be related to us, but lucky enough to work with us. My practice focuses exclusively on family law and all the components that go with that. I do a lot of high conflict divorces. Attorneys don't make them high conflict, other circumstances do, but I'm happy to be here and to work with Carrie. I love the topic of who are the people because this is a topic that a lot of my clients ask about as well.
Awesome. So when someone files for divorce, or when do more people get involved beside you in terms of not like financial planners, mental health, me, that kind of thing, but the court people, when do they get involved?
Yeah. And usually the first place that's going to start is when we file the complaint for divorce, or if it's not a divorce, if it's a custody case. When we file that case, you're going to be initially assigned randomly a judge that is on the family law division. And in the counties that I mostly practice in, that is in Oakland, in Wayne, in Washtenaw, and Livingston, typically that judge's practice is primarily or exclusively in the family law division. And I tell people, we have no say over which judge we get. We have a lot of fine jurists on the bench. We should be happy to receive many of them, but I don't have any say or input in that. It is possible. Some of you might have heard about this idea of one judge, one family. If you have a companion case, so if you had another marriage and a divorce, or you had another custody case, you may be reassigned to that judge in your new case as well, just to kind of keep some consistency, but that can really depend on how the court assigns the cases. So you're going to be randomly assigned to your judge, and that's the first person that's going to be assigned to your case.
Okay. And then I know different judges, different personalities, like it's not one size fits all. They don't have a bunch of guidelines and say everybody goes the same route.
Right. There is a track that your divorce will file, but of course, each judge has their own particularities. In Oakland County, they're great at putting the judges' protocols on the website. A good chunk of our judges in Wayne and Washtenaw and even in Livingston do put those available as well. So does this judge handle hearings in person? Are they completely on Zoom? Is it a combination? So even if it's a judge I've been in front of a million times, I always like to pull up that protocol at the beginning of the case as well, go back over it with my paralegal or my associate attorney, and just kind of refresh that, because then you're giving your client really good information about procedurally what to expect. That's a big thing for clients, because they are already overwhelmed by the process of the divorce itself. And then there's all of these weird procedures that they're like, am I supposed to be in person? Do I need to take the day off work? Do I need to arrange childcare? How long can I plan? And as attorneys, we just kind of have to make sure that our clients understand that as well, and that they're being given good information.
Right, that's smart, right. And even nowadays, you have to say, how are you going to dress, even if you're on Zoom, and don't eat in front of the judge, and don't be chewing gum, and all the little teeny things that come up.
Absolutely. Please do not wear your pajamas to court. Your judge will not like that. It should be treated just the same as if you were in person. This is not the time for you to be doing it while you're driving or while you have childcare, children in the screen. But, we know life gets busy, but Zoom is a privilege. So let's not ruin it for everybody for the times when you do need it.
Right, for sure. And then, so after the judge, which some people may not really see more than once, right?
That's exactly right, Carrie. You may rarely see your judge. You may only see your judge when you finalize your case. That'd be great for everybody. But there's a lot of people working behind the scenes, and there's a lot of people that you may meet as you're going through that case, depending on what is happening in your case. So the judge, of course, has their own team. They have usually a judicial attorney or a research attorney that is assigned to help them with their research and writing. And then they have their own staff. They have a court clerk who's like the gatekeeper of everything on the judge's schedule and calendaring and protocol and procedures. So you always want to treat that person top notch. Not that anybody wouldn't, but they are meant to be helpful. So the judge has their own team. Then if you have a case with minor children, there is a branch of the court called the friend of the court. The friend of the court helps the courts deal with all the child-related issues. Obviously, our judges are very busy. In many counties, they have as many as tens of thousands of active cases on their docket when you consider ongoing divorces and then post-judgment cases as well. So they developed the friend of the court to provide additional support to families going through divorce and to help those move faster through the court system as well. So the friend of the court is going to be the next group of people that you may meet. You might not, but in Oakland County, you're at least going to meet your referee once when you have something called an early intervention conference. And in other counties, you may not see them at all if you're able to resolve your divorce. But if you have child-related issues, they're somebody that you may see more than your judge.
Okay, so you said early intervention conference. So some people might not know what that is.
Yep.
So will you explain that?
So in Oakland County, when you file your divorce, there is automatically 2 court dates that are going to be set. One is the early intervention conference, and that's the date and time when you're going to do your first meeting with the friend of the court, just to check in on the case and make sure that there's this information about the services that are available there, and then information about the SMILE program. The SMILE program is Start Making It Livable for Everyone. It's a divorce co-parenting education class that everybody is required to take when they're going through this process. It's on Zoom most of the time, but that depends on the county specific. So they want to ensure that parties are getting that information as they're going through the case in Oakland County. So you will meet your referee at that early intervention conference. If you have an attorney, they will be there as well. It's a relatively short hearing, but they will give you the information about all of the contact information for the people at the friend of the court. So our referee also in Oakland County has their own team.
That's good.
Yep. And it's great. I mean, if you were getting divorced in Oakland County, there are a lot of people that are there and available to help you. So at that early intervention conference, you get something called the team sheet, which talks about who is there under the referee. And one of the most important people under that referee and on his or her team is going to be their custody parenting time specialist or family counselor. Sometimes they change the names every once in a while, their titles. But it is somebody with a mental health background that is on the team to help resolve custody and parenting time disputes. And this can be a very involved person in your case if you're going through an acrimonious divorce.
That's awesome. And then who else is on that team?
There also is a support specialist. So if you have questions about how you're going to get your child support, there's somebody that deals with health insurance related issues, whether there's a change in a policy coverage or uninsured medical expenses that need to be enforced. There is also somebody that handles interstate. So if somebody's moving out of state, moving in or out of a state. So all of those people will be delineated on the team sheet. So you have contact information for them. And then obviously the referee has an assistant. You can't just call up your referee, but that wouldn't be quite appropriate. But they give you information, so you have that. Oakland County has a great team. Different counties have different ways that they delineate their teams. In Wayne, we do not have somebody that is assigned to each referee to assist on custody and parenting time. It's a separate division under the friend of the court, which is called FAME. It's Family Evaluation, Mediation, Evaluation Services. Their acronym is kind of confusing, but that there are social workers and mental health people there that can help evaluate a case, but they're not specifically assigned to a specific referee. So every county is a little bit different. And just because Carrie and I do a lot of work in Oakland, we're talking about that. But you definitely want to check with a local practitioner, especially if you're in other areas of Michigan, about how that team works, because that could be somebody you'll have a lot of access to. I don't practice regularly in other counties, but I have been to other counties where the friend of the court themselves, like the individual named the friend of the court, is more involved in a case versus being more of a administrative department head. So that happens in some of the smaller counties where that might be the person that is handling things that a referee may handle and or doing some evaluation.
And did these people get involved prior to the judgment or after judgment?
So they could be involved at both times, depending on the needs of the case. So in Oakland County, before your divorce is finalized, and in Wayne, if you have an issue that is related to your children, barring it being an emergency or something like that, so say you have a dispute about temporary parenting time, the court will send you to the referee and the friend of the court for the first initial hearing on that issue. Again, unless it's an emergency or something very serious is happening. Those referees cannot make any final decisions in your case. I kind of think of referees like magistrates. A lot of people are familiar with the idea of a magistrate handling traffic tickets. So they have powers and they have authority that's vested in them, but they're not a judge. So the referee could handle those temporary parenting time issues and make a recommendation on your case. Both sides then have an opportunity to disagree with that recommendation and have that heard before your judge. But a lot of cases can resolve with a recommendation or a proposed resolution because people often feel, okay, I'm getting some good feedback from somebody at the court and I can live with that, or we can work something out within that parameter. After the divorce, these people are going to stay on your case as well. So if you get divorced 3 years later, some circumstances change, you need to seek, for example, a modification of child support. File your motion and it will be referred to the friend of the court for an initial hearing on that motion.
Okay, I have a really interesting question now.
Okay, great.
Okay, so when I get involved in cases, a lot of times they have a mental health professional and a financial professional and all, these different professionals. But now you're talking about professionals at the court system. So when do you choose to use friend of the court? When do you choose to use outside? Does everybody charge a fee?
Great question. All of the services at the friend of the court are free. It's part of your taxpayer dollars. So that may be a big difference as to why somebody may use more services at the friend of the court rather than retaining private individuals. Depending on the county basis as well, and overall status of where the case is, it may require a more intense psychological evaluations. The friend of the court is very busy and they don't have all of the services that may be needed in a case. For example, you may need a substance abuse evaluation in a case. The friend of the court clearly has information and data and some services for that, but it may require something more in depth than what the friend of the court can provide. Okay. In terms of your assets, the friend of the court is not going to provide support on that. So if you have a business interest or complicated financials or concern about hidden or concealed assets, friend of the court's not going to be touching that. So you'll need the support and the assistance from a private individual that you retain.
Okay. So they're more like the basic, simple, help you navigate what needs to be done.
Right. And they could be holding hearings, right? They're not there to advocate for either side. They're there to represent the best interest of the child, assist the court with resolving the disputes. You could have an evidentiary hearing in front of your referee, which could be, significant amount of time. I've had it before. And they're not there to advocate for one of the parties. They're there to assist in resolving the disputes versus if you have a private individual, they could potentially be advocating or gathering information for your case and what's in your best interest.
That makes better sense. All right. That was a little, I didn't know.
That's great. It's a great question.
That was good. Are there other people that are involved?
So there could be other people tangentially to the court system. There could be, if you had a criminal crossover, if you had a guardian ad litem appointed, or you had a parenting coordinator, or you had a supervised parenting time facilitator. But those are more private individuals, not really people that are involved in the court system. Like you were mentioning, Carri, a financial expert, somebody to evaluate the business. There can be a lot of people involved in your divorce if it needs it. But with the court system, they've got their teams pretty set up to reach a resolution. The only person that may have some crossover with that is if the court appoints a guardian ad litem. So that might be somebody that the court chooses to involve, or parties do.
Okay. And then if someone has an issue and they're calling front of the court and they're talking to one of these people, or do those people that they're talking to get to say, well, you're going to start doing it this way, or this is what I agree to, or they're just like talking to you?
Yeah, so they cannot give any legal advice, any of the people that you call, right? So if you are filing a divorce unrepresented and you can't figure out how to get your motion on the docket and you call the judge's clerk, they cannot give you legal advice, right? You are required, if you are unrepresented, to follow the same protocol and the same procedures and the same court rules. When you call, say you have a parenting time complaint or something like that, and you call and make a parenting time complaint at the front of the court and submit the fees, they're going to give the form. They're going to give the other party an opportunity to respond. So again, they're not immediately resolving those issues like, hey, my ex just denied parenting time. They're not going to say, okay, well, the other side needs to go and do that, right? They're there more to help facilitate a resolution, but then make recommendations that then can be overturned by the court. If you have a child support enforcement issue, referees are going to handle that too. So if someone is not paying their child support or they are in arrears, those hearings are often going to start at the front of the court level, and that could result in some stiff penalties that the referee can enforce in that case.
Okay, and that's something the referee handles.
Correct. At the initial.
The court's scary. It's a scary place.
It's really, I understand that it is, right? And it's hard for us as attorneys. We think, gosh, we do this every day. So we kind of get comfortable with all of these people and these ideas and the protocol. So we have to remember too that our clients aren't as familiar with that. And so sometimes when we're moving quickly through a case, or we think that this should be, we're giving the information, questions like this, like, who is that person, right? Sometimes we use lingo and we're throwing it out there and the client may be like, I don't even know what they're talking about, right? I don't even know what a referee is. So it's a good conversation to have, right? Because we do this every day. And so we get more comfortable with the terms.
Right, it's true. And you forget, we had something at work come up yesterday where we were giving everybody a lot of information and they were coming back with things that never would have crossed my mind that somebody could have thought about, because I come at it from a different perspective. So it's good to do these podcasts, I think, because it kind of brings it back down a little bit.
Right, some of the basics. And sometimes clients are worried that they're using too much of their attorney or the support staff's time to ask basic questions. But I always tell people, like, that's what we're here for. No one is going to be mad. Your attorney is never going to be mad if you say, I don't actually understand what a referee is or how they help me in this case, or right. I don't really know what the friend of the court is. I'm Googling, I'm ChatGPTing, which I encourage to use very, very cautiously. What is that information? And even a good paralegal or support staff can help answer those questions. We are really here to help you guys. So don't be afraid of asking those questions. I think most attorneys would feel like rather have the questions asked and have that conversation than get 6 months later on down the road and you're like, I actually don't know what they mean by that term.
Right. But I think people feel dumb, right? People don't want to ask because they feel like they should know, which is sad. So they don't like to ask. So they're asking everybody else who doesn't really know either. And if they would just go to the source from the get-go, then they would get all the right answers.
That's exactly right. And especially when you're working with your attorney is going to be able to give you the best feedback on that referee or that judges and how the proceeding is going to be held. If you're Googling or you're ChatGPT or using AI, that information is not as reliable. Your attorney is going to know best how procedurally these things will be happening, who those players are, and what impact that's going to have on your case.
It's so
true. That's really who you need to be talking with.
Right, it's very true. Do you notice too, like everyone uses AI and AI is great, and then you start using AI for your own field, and you're like, they don't know what they're talking about. But I'm okay to trust everything else that I don't know about. But the one subject I really know about, you could tell that they're getting it all wrong.
Right. Exactly. So use cautiously. You're paying your attorney. They're there to help and assist you. I'm sure they have a team as well, you know, a paralegal or support staff person or a law clerk that even could help answer a basic question. But
Right.
better to get that information and have the knowledge from the right source than please don't use AI.
I agree. Anything else that you can think of that we should talk about before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I think that kind of covers who the players are and what their roles are in the case. And there's a lot of great people at the court to be able to assist you. But the goal is to not have to use all of these people, right? The more that you and your co-parent or your former spouse can agree upon, the better for you and the better for your kids in the long run. But if you can't, this is what these people are paid to do. This is their job. This is what the taxpayers do. And they take that job seriously to really serve the public and and protect those rights of the children. So
That's fabulous. Tell everyone how to get a hold of you if they're interested in finding you.
yeah, so my website is kellykelleylaw.com. It's KELLYKELLYLAW.com. We're on there. You can also call our office number at 248-348-0496. We have a great team that is there to help answer the phone and answer your questions. So
I love it. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
thank you, Carrie. Appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I'm Carri Goldring, and if you ever have any questions regarding mortgage, feel free to give me a call or send me a text message, 248-420-4524. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.